2026 could be the year Malaysian consumer stocks finally take the spotlight. Why? Because next year isn't just another year, it's the year before a general election. And if history is any guide, election year budgets are designed to make the rakyat feel good. And when consumers feel good, they spend. So while everyone's still talking about the 470 billion ringgit in Budget 2026 announcement, let's dig deeper. Which part of Budget 2026 are quietly setting up a spending boom, and which Bursa-listed companies could ride that wave? This is the second part of my 3 videos giving my own personal views on Budget 2026. In the last video, we broke down how 10 billion ringgit worth of water leaks might finally get fixed. If you haven't watched the video, check out the link over here. But today, we are zooming in on something closer to your wallet, the consumer sector, and how this election-ready budget could shape it. Before we get into it, I want to introduce one powerful formula that will make you understand almost everything about economics. Economists love using CIGX minus M to describe an economy. It's the GDP formula. C for private consumption, all the spending by household like you and me. I for investment by businesses. G for government spending. And X minus M for export minus imports. This breakdown helps everyone from policymakers steering the economy to investors picking stocks understand where growth is coming from. In Malaysia's case, the C is by far the biggest driver, accounting for roughly 60% of GDP. In simple terms, if Malaysians stop spending, the economy is going to suffer. If they spend with confidence, the economy booms. So, it's no surprise that every government tries to keep consumer spending robust, especially ahead of elections. Think of past budgets. Cash handouts like BRIM started in 2012, giving millions of low-income people few hundred ringgit to spend each year. More recently, we had Bantuan Prihatin during pandemic, and now Sumbangan Tunai Ramah. All different names for the same idea: put money in people's pocket and boost consumption. Governments also use subsidies to keep prices low, tax incentive for shopping, and even shopping vouchers for e-wallets. These measures stimulate the C in the formula, and the practice continues in Budget 2026. Budget 2026 is clearly designed to pamper consumers and ease living costs, which makes sense politically and economically. Let's break down the key consumer-focused announcement. Every adult gets a one-off 100 ringgit in February. B40 and M40 families continue to receive cash aid through STR and SARA. And fuel plus electricity subsidies stay largely intact for 85% of Malaysians. No new taxes on income or GST revival, just small hikes on alcohol and cigarettes. First home stamp duty waiver stays until 2027, and there are even rebates for energy-saving appliances. In short, steady handouts, stable prices, and confidence-boosting signals before the next election. Looking at these measures, it's clear the government's focus is on boosting spending in essential categories. By pouring cash into B40 households and controlling living costs, they want people to spend on staple goods and everyday needs without worrying about inflation. Groceries, food, basic retail, businesses involved in this stuff should see a lift. The extra 100 ringgit for all adults is small, but many will likely spend it on a nice dinner out or a bit of shopping. A short-term bump for discretionary spending around, say, Chinese New Year, since 100 ringgit will be paid in mid-February, right before the holiday. Notably, Visit Malaysia Year 2026 is another way the government wants us and foreigners to spend. The budget boosted funding for tourism promotions to 700 million ringgit in hopes of attracting a flood of tourists. That means we might see more local travel deals, events and campaigns encouraging Malaysians to travel domestically too. Tourism is a form of consumer spending on services. With aggressive marketing, the target is ambitiously high tourist arrivals. If those tourists come, they'll spend on hotels, food, shopping, boosting the consumer-facing service sector. And locals taking holidays at home will spend on airlines, petrols, F&B and recreation. So, hospitality and leisure companies could be in for a good year. Okay, but the budget does not particularly push luxury spending or big-ticket discretionary items. In fact, for expensive foreign-made EVs, a tax exemption is ending. Starting January 2026, imported EVs will no longer be duty-free. They will incur the usual 30% import duty, 10% excise, and sales tax. That means if you want a Tesla or BYD that's fully imported, it's going to cost a lot more. The rationale is likely to encourage local assembly and to avoid giving the well-off too many tax breaks. For consumers, some might rush to buy before 2026, but next year demand might slow due to higher prices. It's a reminder that while most consumer measures in Budget 2026 are about encouraging spending, some of them, like sin taxes or EV duties, are about redirecting certain spending behaviors. Now, tying all this together, Budget 2026 measures act as a catalyst for certain subsectors of the consumer market. First of all, I think Budget 2026 is a booster for staples and essential retails. All those cash transfers like STR will disproportionately flow into spending on food, groceries, and basic supplies. When a lower income family gets an extra cold hard cash each month, they are likely to buy more rice, cooking oil, fresh food, or perhaps branded products they previously skipped. Companies like Nestle, for example, which sells everyday food from instant noodles to coffee, could see a spike in sales. In fact, after the August 100 ringgit aid was given, we already saw some positive reaction there. Plus, with 85% of people enjoying the fuel subsidy, there's less fear of petrol or electricity bills eating into the budget for groceries. The removal of price ceilings on chicken and egg prices might hurt some poultry producers slightly, but overall keeps consumers able to spend elsewhere. All in, I think staple producers will enjoy higher sales volume with possibly better margins if raw material costs drop, and supermarkets get higher revenue, a broadly positive outlook for staple consumer stocks. With the basic goods covered, when people have more disposable income of savings, thanks to subsidies, they often channel some into discretionary items. Confidence is key for discretionary spending, and the budget's message is, we are taking care of you, the economy is growing 4 to 5%, inflation is manageable, so go ahead and spend. Crucially, over 1.5 million civil servants are getting salary adjustment in 2025-2026 as part of the new remuneration system. They will have more income to potentially spend on new clothes, new phones, dining out, so on and so forth. To make the situation even better for consumers, Budget 2026 also allocated tax reliefs or subsidies that indirectly help discretionary sector. For example, the energy efficient appliance rebate can spur purchases of appliances. This is good news for retailers like Seng Heng and domestic appliance makers like Panasonic or Keen. That said, there are a few dampeners in discretionary spend. The hike in alcohol duty might make night outs more expensive. For that, I think breweries and pubs might introduce heavy marketing promotions to keep people coming. Also, the absence of any new gadgets or car incentives means big discretionary spending decisions rely purely on income and sentiment, not on any tax breaks. Overall, the budget fits into the discretionary sector like a supportive friend. It doesn't shovel money directly on buying TVs or clothes, but by easing the burden of essentials, it frees up a bit of room for the rakyat to indulge modestly. In my opinion, retail shops, F&B outlets, consumer services will have a decent year in 2026, aided by the budget measure. The other thing that people pay attention to is incentives for new car buyers. For those wanting to buy newly imported EVs, I'm so sorry, car prices are going up in 2026. But don't worry, there's still Proton and Perodua EVs that will continue to enjoy government incentives to keep prices low, encouraging the rakyat to support local car assemblers and its supply chain. Companies like MBM Resources, Pekka, and other related stocks could benefit from this new direction from the government. But others like Burma's Auto, which imports fully built Mazdas, for example, might have to adjust strategy on any EV models. With all the extra information from the budget, how can an ordinary investor like you leverage it? Almost every time during a budget announcement season, investors often see hype-up prices movement on certain stocks in anticipation of goodies. In the short run, there could be a trading opportunity for you. You could ride this wave with a quick trade. For example, positions in a basket of retail stocks, expecting that as news of cash handout spreads, these stocks get a boost in sentiment. If you had done that before the budget, you'll likely see some gains now. But be careful, short-run hype can fizzle out once the market price in the news or any global bad news hits. Ultimately, our goal as investors is long-term sustainable growth. That means we shouldn't drastically change our portfolio just because of one budget. Use the budget as a guidepost, not a blindfold. The guidepost tells us the government priorities. In 2026, it's clear the priority is supporting household and consumption and not introducing new taxes before elections. Also, keep an eye on government execution on the budget. The budget announcements are one thing, implementation is another. Delays could occur or sometimes even U-turn on certain initiatives. Always be ready to adjust if the facts change. The point I want to make is that you should avoid getting swiped out by euphoria. Yes, many people might watch this video and start buying into consumer stocks just because I mentioned certain stocks in passing, but that's the worst you could do. What you should do instead is to use this period of time to identify quality companies that will continue to do well even if consumer spending moderates beyond 2026. There's plenty more to discuss, from investment in high-tech industries to fiscal sustainability. We've covered water infrastructure in the last video and consumer sector today. If you found this insightful, smash the subscribe button and stay tuned for the next episode where we'll dissect another aspect of Budget 2026 and how it might affect your money. If you're excited to find out what is my next topic on Budget 2026, leave a Malaysian flag emoji in the comments to tell me you're interested in it. Stay tuned and see you in the next video.